You gonna know when the Most High wants you to move, because it's just gonna be a spiritual knowing. It's gonna be in your spirit. Now, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and I've been here my whole life, and I never really had the desire to want to move to another state. And I just always felt like this was home. But I always told myself, because I always wanted to get married, so I always told myself, well, if I meet a good man, or when I meet a good man and he's a real stand-up guy, if he is not from here and we cross paths and he wants to marry me and wants me to go with him, then I would be willing to move. But unfortunately for me, that hasn't happened yet. But Birmingham was always home to me, so I never had the desire to want to move, but I do love to travel. So I was like, okay, this is home. I don't gotta move nowhere unless I get married, or unless I, get a good job opportunity or something like that. Cause like, even though my family is scattered abroad, like most of us are here, and so I always been a single mom. So I just never really felt the need to want to pack up and leave and move elsewhere. So with that being said, so in 2020, I got saved or whatever, found out what my calling was, and a young lady prophesied over my life, and she was like, your calling is ministry or whatever. And so that prophecy did come to pass or whatever, and I started operating in my gifts and my calling. And so from 2020 up until now, I still never had the desire to move. But lately, I'd say probably for the past 6 months to a year, I don't know, because time just really flying right now, and the days just coming and going, and it's like, I'd say probably the past year or so, I've been having a desire to want to move, like to move to another state. And I'm not one of those people that'll just pack up and go and just relocate, without praying and asking God, what he want me to move to. Is this where you want me to go? Different things like that. And so with that being said, I still have this urge. I have this desire to want to move, and it's getting stronger and stronger. But one way how you gonna know that the Most High is going to want you to relocate is because you're gonna have a desire to move. You're gonna have a desire or an unction or urge to uproot from your current location and move to a new location. And that desire is probably not gonna leave you alone. It's probably gonna get stronger. And eventually you'll start seeing little signs and little clues. You might start to see U-Haul trucks or different things like that. Now, I haven't started seeing signs as far as like U-Haul trucks, and some people say they may see something on the back of a license plate or something like that. I haven't started to see any signs like that, and I may not, I don't know, but I know a prophet is without honor in his hometown, in his own hometown. And so with that being said, prophets are not well received in their hometown, because just like Yahushua back in his day when he walked the earth, the people that knew him from where he was from, they was like, ain't that Mary and Joseph's son? Ain't that the carpenter? So people will look at you like you always who you was. They'll never really receive the new you. You know what I'm saying? Like your friends and your family, they gonna still look at you like you the old version of yourself, not fully recognizing that you a new person, in Christ, or you a new person in Yahushua. So people, they'll still look at the old you. You know what I'm saying? People still look at the old me. Like my family still look at me like I'm that worldly person that I was, that hurt, that traumatized person. They don't really accept the new version of myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I had a family member to tell me one time, she was like, I miss when you was such and such. I forgot how she worded it, but she basically was telling me like, I miss the old you. And it kind of struck a nerve, because I'm like, okay, well, that means you miss me being depressed. You miss me being broken and hurt and traumatized. You miss me being unhealed. You miss the sinful woman that I was, the one that was, you know what I'm saying, dressing in ways that I shouldn't, potty mouth. Like, you miss that person. But you don't like this new person, this new version of myself that's walking with God. No, you don't like that. You want the old me back. And I was just like, okay. But yeah, when you get saved, when you get on your walk and you start walking with God, watch how your friends and your family will start switching up on you. Watch how they're gonna miss the old you and want you to go back to the ways that you used to be, and go back to the places where you used to hang out at, and converse with the people you used to converse with, do the things that you used to do that you no longer do. They're gonna miss that version of you. They're gonna miss the old you. They're not gonna really accept the new you. But fellowship does light hell with darkness. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, they'll never really accept the new you. And truth be told, your friends and your family and those closest to you, they really not gonna support you until they feel like you made it. But that's just how it is. But the Bible say that a servant is not greater than his master. So if the Bible say that, if the world hates you, no, it hated me first. So if you walking with God and you walking in your calling and your purpose, your family and your friends, they ain't gonna really receive you like that, not unless you grew up in that, in that type of family, a God-fearing family, but other than that, they ain't gonna really accept the new you. And but anyway, back to what I was saying, you just gonna know, it's gonna be in your spirit. You're gonna just have an urge and an unction to leave and to move, just like I have. Like, I remember when back in my teens and 20s and early 30s, like, I never wanted to move. I never wanted to leave here. I was like, this my hometown, this is where I was born and raised, this just where I'm gonna be. But now that I'm in ministry and I see and I understand that, that people not gonna support me in my ministry and my calling, they're not gonna accept it, I'm just not gonna get the support from them, I'm ready to leave. And don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying it like I'm salty because I don't have the support or whatever, but it's nothing here for me. It's nothing here for me except my family, whom I love dearly, and a couple of friends. Like, I don't really have no friends. Like, my two best friends that I was friends with from middle school, like, I had two best friends. And both of them, we was like sisters, tight like glue. I thought that we would never part. I thought we would always be BFFs forever. I had a best friend that we was best friends since 7th grade, and I'm 38, so I was 12 when I met her, and we had been best friends from 12 all the way up into my 30s. And I had another best friend. We was friends from when I was 13 all the way up into my 30s. And both of these, they was like my sisters, my ride or dies, my best friends. I thought we'd be best friends forever. But it's like, when I got on my walk with God and I got saved and really started taking God serious and started taking his word serious, and I started, doing the things of God, and I started living set apart. I stopped cursing. I've been stopped going to the clubs. Like, I stopped carrying myself how I used to. I stopped the gossiping and, just being mindful of how I carry myself. I started living set apart. I stopped living like the world, and I started walking with God on a serious note. And, it was like a culture shock for my family and my friends, for those who was closest to me. And when I first got saved, I did a 180, like a quick work, and it didn't take long, and I was unrecognizable. And all hell started breaking loose, because I guess they didn't know how to take that. And I felt like they never really accepted it, but they just kind of tolerated it because they didn't have a choice, because this was the new me. Like, I got saved and born again for real, not for play like most people. But it's like, you know, over the years, so I first got saved when I was 32, and I soon turned 33. And because it was like June of 2020, I was 32, and then August of 2020 I turned 33. So I just always say I was 33, but I was 32. But you know, over the years, in that 5-year time span, I noticed that I started to get less close and less close with my two best friends. And it wasn't on my account. You know, I just started noticing that I started hearing from them less and less. And, you know, and then one of them, the one that we was friends since we was 12, you know, it's like people start to switch up. They'll start acting funny. They'll start moving different. You know what I'm saying? They start looking at you funny, like, you know what I'm saying? They might not say it, but in your spirit, you can discern, like, you know, dang, she ain't the same no more. Dang, she holier than thou now. Or, dang, I wish she go back to how she used to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, they ain't gonna really like the new you. They not gonna like the God in you. They not gonna receive the light that's in you. But all while these same people that proclaim to love God and proclaim to be Christians and believers and children of God, they gonna switch up on you, and they gonna move different. And you gonna notice that you gonna start hearing from these people less and less. And when you reach out to them or whatever, you know what I'm saying, they might act funny with you. They might switch up. You gonna start hearing from them less and less. When you text them or when you call them, they gonna dry text you. You know what I'm saying? They might answer, they might not. And that's how you know that God wants you to cut ties and sever ties with these people. And, you know, it's gonna hurt, because you gonna think that you gonna feel like, dang, these was my best friends. We did everything together. We went everywhere together. We had so many good times. Like, imagine being best friends with somebody from the age of 12 to 33, 34. Like, that's a long time, because it's a lot of temporary people, you know what I'm saying, in the world these days. And me as a woman, I don't call everybody my best friend. Like, I don't call everybody a friend. I had to learn it the hard way. But they'll switch up, and you gonna know when God wants you to separate or cut ties with people, because everybody can't go. And, you know, it's so ironic, because one of my best friends, the ones that we was friends from when we was 12, she actually said that, you know, after I got saved, and she was like, everybody can't go. And you know what, it stuck with me, because it was so ironic that she said that. And so she was right, you know, everybody can't go. So I guess she felt like she knew that I was going somewhere else that she couldn't go, or that other people couldn't go. And, you know, she was right. And, you know, it's not to say that you better. It just means that you on a different path. And everybody can't go. And everybody's not going to receive the new you. You know, everybody's not. And so it's going to hurt, because we have feelings. We humans. And it has hurt me, because I've had to detach from these people. But when you start reaching out, and you keep reaching out, and they pulling back, and they acting funny, and you hearing from them less and less and stuff, I ain't never been the type to chase nobody. You know what I'm saying? I always kind of been a loner. I always been different. And looking back in hindsight, even when I was in middle school and high school, I never really did fit in. You know? So I was born, and I was made to stand out. I was born to be set apart. You know, even though I was of the world at one point, I still was chosen. And so, you know, I always stood out. But you gonna